Why does this meme explain 75% of right-wing politics? As you can see, it's an angry man in Ted Kaczynski style sat around writing his manifesto, surrounded by TNT, saying, "I am writing this manifesto to pass judgment on all who are complicit in perpetuating the evils of modern society, but especially my second-grade teacher, Mrs. Gretel." Now,
You know what's interesting? This is exactly what people used to do on Tumblr, so it also describes left-wing politics, I suppose. It's usually like the social engineer mindset, like the person that likes to zoom all the way out and, complain about the systemic systems of injustice. I'm not saying like they're wrong to complain, but what I'm saying is when Sargon says it's describing right-wing politics, it also describes left-wing politics. So I found that very interesting.
actually, I think there might be something to it. I don't know about you, but I also can't help but feel that modern society isn't really very good at dealing with young boys. I mean, one of the problems with the modern education system is its gender imbalance.
No, absolutely not. The problem with the modern education system is the modern education system itself. Like, it has to be rethinked. There is absolutely no reason why you would institutionalize a child for more than 10 years of his life, forcing him to learn all of the bullshit that he is never going to use in his life. Like, for example, do you know that I learned, like, advanced trigonometry? Why the fuck did I ever need advanced trigonometry? I learned about volcanic rocks when I was in school. Do you think that's cheap? Like, do you think that... No. Like, someone actually had to work. Like, a twat like Sargon, right? He actually had to produce for a living, and then the government ripped his money away. Didn't allow him to give his money to his wife and children. No. They gave that money to a school teacher in order to indoctrinate people about rocks and the LGBTs. The entire fucking system is the cancer and the problem. And whenever you even want to bring it up and say, we need to change the system, you have a couple of pro-clutches. It's like, well, how are kids supposed to learn? How are they supposed to learn? I don't fucking know, man. Like humanity has existed for hundreds of thousands of years. People managed to learn without being institutionalized. I'm just saying, when is it time to make an audit and decide that if the current system that we have is actually the optimal way for people to learn? When you can have apprenticeships, when people can actually learn from the internet, when people can learn by actually going to a place, like, for example, climbing the corporate ladder, right? Like having entry-level jobs for teenagers, and then they can actually just learn something useful. I'm not saying, like, get rid of the schools altogether, but, like, surely, like, not everybody has to go through the same standardized system of education that takes teenagers off the job market. I keep hearing people bitching about the birth rate, right? And they say, well, we don't have money for children. And you have to wonder, like, motherfucker, how the fuck did a medieval peasant that barely could afford anything, right? He didn't even have a refrigerator. How did they afford to have, like, 6 or 7 kids? And meanwhile, someone in a modern nation that is surrounded by all the amenities of life and lives actually better than an English king from the 1200, he can't afford to have children. And the answer is very simple, right? Because, like, the medieval person, having children meant wealth. Like, the children go out, they start producing, they start farming the fields, they start helping around the house, and all of a sudden they generate revenue, right? Meanwhile, in a modern society, you send your kid to school, he ends up being 19. 19, that's a grown-ass adult, right? And you still need to pay for him. You still need to pay for him. Like, you have an adult living in your house. And it's not his fault, right? Like, he literally cannot work because he's got to go to university now. And you, as the parent, you got to pay for his gas money. You got to pay for his electricity. He wants to date some bitch so he can have a one-night stand because he's not even thinking about marriage, right? You got to pay for that as well. It's fucking expensive, you got like all these kids living with their parents. How the fuck are they affording to date? And how can they even fuck? I keep seeing Sargon talking about like, oh, I want you to fuck. I want you to have children so that you can pay for the British government to oppress me harder. Like, look, I understand the grift. I get it. Welfare, very important. But, how do you want kids to have sex and have families if they can't work? And by the time they can work, they're like, what, 24, 25? Holy shit, right? Like, never in human history was this the case. But, like, even if you mention it, people are like, oh, no, like, no, it's not the correct answer. No, you need to say about, like, things like ban pornography, and then you're going to see the birth rates exploding, like, they're exploding in South Korea. Okay, fine, you know, it is what it is. But, like, I just wanted to point out that there are other conversations that can be had around this issue, which people are just refusing to have, because the welfare system is sacred. Luckily, the welfare system is not going to exist for long. It physically cannot exist. Like, people aren't having children, that's a good thing. The welfare system should collapse. It fucking should collapse. And from the ashes, something new will rise. But anyway, right, let's hear some of the other arguments.
And the fact that we have women teaching boys and men teaching, well, very few men. But you wouldn't really want men teaching girls because they're not exactly well attuned to what it...
Oh, get the fuck out. You as a father can't teach a daughter? Like, men can't teach girls? No, I think they can. I'm pretty sure they can. Like, see, this is an interesting thing. But before I go to it, let Sargon finish the argument.
It is that boys and girls need respectively. And so if you're going to have mixed-sex classrooms, you have to have one rule for everyone. Well, which one do you favour? Because actually, boys and girls are often quite diametrically opposed in a bunch of...
I favor the one that the Soviet Union came up with, Sargon. You know, say a lot of shit about communism, but they knew how to fuck you up at school. I'm not even kidding, right? Like, you had classrooms with boys and girls, and everyone was shutting the fuck up, sitting down, and listening. Now, if you don't know how, again, like, go to the Soviets, get a babushka from Russia, and put her with your boys, and I guarantee to you they will fucking learn. You know, it's not my fault that British women aren't capable of educating children anymore, but like here in Eastern Europe, a man can educate a classroom of girls, and you get a babushka from the countryside, she's going to educate your kids just fine. You know, Britain used to have this thing called the paddle. There is a movie called The Dead Poets Society, right? Assume the position, and you have like the principal, and he's like firm and stern, and he's got a strong hand, and smack, smack, smack. Immediately he fixed the problem. Like Sargon is saying, well, yeah, like boys learn by doing, and it's like a couple of paddles, and they're going to learn any way you fucking want. They're going to sit in that desk, eyes forward, hands behind their back, and they're going to fucking learn. And if a girl does something similar, she gets the paddle as well. That was the Soviet system. Now, listen. I'm not advocating for the horror of communism to come back. Heaven forbid. Like, I mean, the trauma that I had as a child, right? Like, I don't want that back. But, like, if you're going to remove the system, you need to replace it with something else. Preferably, dismantle the school system. That's my solution. But if you insist on it, you gotta find, like, some proper way of disciplining kids. Like when I was in school, there was like no fun, no LGBTs, no like we're making the rainbow. No, you fucking sit down in the bench, eyes forward, and the teacher does trigonometry, and you fucking learn. And if you don't learn, you get smacked. And at the end of the day, everybody knew trigonometry. Like, I'm not even kidding, right? Like, it's baffling. But literally everybody in the class, from the smartest to the dumbest kid, from all the boys to all the girls, everybody knew trigonometry. And so, like, look, it's possible. It is absolutely possible for a man to teach girls and for girls to teach men. You just need a little bit of Russia in you, and you're going to make it.
Things. For example, boys learn best by doing, and they're very active, and they don't sit still for very long periods of time, and they tend to be a bit more
Nobody moved in my class. Nobody. Like, it's not like, no, seriously, like, it's not that we weren't moving. You need to understand. The very concept of moving didn't exist. Like, our mind, not for a second, even imagine, like, trying to move. The only thing that was allowed was eyes forward, hands behind your back. That's it. Like, the moment that little bell started ringing, up until the female teacher, she was a woman that taught me, right? Like I am the man I am today because of a woman, Sargon. But, like, I'm saying, and again, like, I'm reminiscing from my childhood. Like, I'm not, advocating for a system that doesn't exist. Like, I'm telling you how a teacher that was a woman managed to educate me. So, like, and it wasn't just me, it was the entire generation that I grew up with, right? And again, like, the idea of, like, moving or whispering or even breathing was something that was unconceivable while she was in the classroom. And by the way, apparently, like, some people would be shocked and they'd be like, V, that's horrible. You know, like, my parents, they had it even worse. Like, my parents were actually closer to the heart of the Soviet Union because, like, they were closer to them. Like, there were teachers that would take nuts, you know, like walnuts, right? They would crack the walnuts and then they would make the child, and we're talking about like an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old, literally sit with his knees, with his naked knees on the walnuts for like 30 minutes or so. Like, they had like torture methods, so like it could get worse, right? Like, I had it better. Again, like, I'm not advocating for the system. I want people to understand. But what I am saying is that I would want the school system to be completely abolished and brought into a new form.
Rambunctious, girls tend to be...
Este boxul tău cu crispy strips la doar 12,90 lei. E de neîmpărțit. KFC.
It's like a do not disturb setting for your mind, and it gets you focused in just 5 minutes using...
Much more cooperative, able to sit still for long periods of time, and react well to being rewarded with good grades. Like, they'll sit there, like Hermione Granger is a typical, stereotypical example of a girly swot.
Yeah, no, I disagree. Have you seen men in a factory work? Like during the British Industrial Revolution. Do you know they weren't allowed to talk? Like, they would sit there for 12 hours a day and just do a menial job. That's how the school system, the modern school system, came to be, by the way. Like, teaching people to go work in a factory. No, like, boys can do it as well. Girls can do it as well. Like the idea that you can't train humans to just sit there is ridiculous. No, you can absolutely train men and women to do the exact same shit. And there are girls that don't like it, by the way, and there are boys that like it. It is what it is. The Russians figured it out. Again, if you disagree with me, get a babushka from Moscow, and she will teach you how to do it. Like, it's fine. If it's a skill issue, like, she can fix it, right? Like, your entire philosophical Western mindset can be cracked within 2 seconds just by going to a rural place in Russia.
J.K. Rowling pulled out of the ether because she'd seen that herself many times. Whereas by comparison, the boys are often a lot more competitive and rambunctious. And
isn't getting a high grade competition, Sargon, though? You know, you're saying that boys are competitive is true, right? I guess, like, the British system has eliminated the competition when you constantly say that everyone gets a trophy, right? And so maybe that's the issue. Girls can be competitive as well. They're not going to compete to get the best grade, but they're going to compete to fuck the guy that got the best grade. So, like, there is still competition there. You know, you just need to know how to tune it in properly.
More inclined to get into trouble, right? More inclined to find it difficult to sit still for long periods of time.
Yeah, well, I had girls in my class that were inclined to get into trouble by smoking. Or by, going behind the school and kissing with the boys. So, I understand the theory, right? Like, you're reading exactly as Christina Hoff-Sommers explained it. You're parroting the correct things that need to be said. But we all had childhoods. Like, come on, there are girls that were delinquents. They have, like, different delinquency than the boys. Sure, like, a girl can come home pregnant while a boy can come home beaten up. But the reality is, like, no, you have, like, children that are well-behaved, and you have children that are delinquents. I would go more into depth, but YouTube's terms of service would prevent me from saying what can cause some of these interesting disparities.
So, if you have a system that treats both of these two contradictory ways of learning the same, well, one group has to find themselves on the outside of what is...
How the fuck does the university manage it, Sargon, though? You know, like, you went to philosophy, like, that's a chick university in Romania. That's where all the women go, you know? Like, the people that don't want to do something proper, like, for example, engineering, right? Like, build a fucking bridge, like, do something for society. Now, you have, like, the people that want to do philosophy, right? That's where all the women are going in 2026. Didn't you have, like, female colleagues? Like, how did they manage to learn? How did they manage to get good grades? Didn't you have, like, female professors at that university? Like, did they just manage to pop there from the ether? Like, this is what I don't understand. Like, he's basically trying to suggest that it's physically impossible. Like, if I pay him $1 million and I tell him, you go to this school and you manage to teach these children and you have boys and girls, and he is going to, no, I can't do it. $10 million. It can't be done, V. It can't be done. It's like, why not? It's impossible. Holy shit. Right. Now, okay, let me put it another way. You're saying that you can't have a classroom where, you know, you have the same standard for everyone. Okay. What about, because there's boys and girls, right? Fine. What about the classroom where you have dumb kids and smart kids? Like, how are you going to go around that? Do you know, like, a good teacher can actually, like, pinpoint groups of students in a classroom that have, like, similarities to each other? And so it doesn't matter if they're boys or girls. Like, some kids genuinely learn faster, others learn slower. A good teacher, not everyone is a good teacher, but, like, a good teacher can actually, like, make groups and can work with them in parallel. Like, he can walk around the benches, right? He puts the smart kids in one part, and he gives them, like, really difficult exercises for them. The dumb kids at the back, and he goes to the dumb kids and gives them, like, simpler exercises, but still enough to challenge them, in the hopes that the dumb kid sometimes becomes smart, and then he goes with the smart kids. And by the way, like, the teacher that I have were ruthlessly brutal about this. Like, they would tell you, you're a cretin. Like, I'm sorry, no, you're fucking retarded. However, if you listen to me and you do what I say, you may have the opportunity to stop being retarded. Like, you're not born this way, right? And when you have the teacher talk like this, imagine if they go to England and have, like, the exact same system. What would happen? How long till he gets fired? Like, how long until the system spits him out? I would bet that Sargon himself would be a little bit perk-clutching and go like, oh, what are you doing to my child? You call him a retard. It's like, well, yeah, but that's what the teacher would do, right? And it would do it for the benefit of the child. It's not for the emotional benefit, sure. But, like, if you tell a kid that way, since children are competitive, believe it or not, girls are competitive as well. Maybe not to the same extent, but, like, at least the girls that I knew, like, maybe the ones in Western Europe aren't, but if you come to Eastern Europe, you'd see that girls are competitive. They don't want to be retards. And so, like, they are actually going to struggle, and they're going to go eventually into the front of the class. By the end, I think we had, like, 5 retards in total out of 38 kids, right? When we started, it was 2/3 of the class were retarded. But after, you know, the teacher split us up into pairs, boys and girls, and they gave us assignments and shit, most people didn't want to be retarded, and so they moved up. It's possible, Sargon, I'm telling you, like, the communists, they perfected the system. You think it's not possible, but you're wrong. There are places, there are magical, mystical places on planet Earth where what you think can't be done can actually be accomplished.
Acceptable. And in each of those groups, you have, of course, a great deal of variation. So those boys closer to the center here, before it bleeds into what women are like, well, they might be fine, but the further out you go...
See, this is another bullshit with equality. It's like everyone has to succeed. No, some people have to fail, Sargon. In order for society to advance, some people have to fail. There needs to be rejects even at the middle school level. Okay, you need to just find them out. It doesn't matter like how you do it. It doesn't matter what system you come up with. There will always be failures. Oh, but they're children. You can't call them that way. But that's what they are. That's what they are, Sargon. They fail at fucking life. And so you need a system that's brutally honest and separates the wheat from the chaff. Even if you were to have like girls only and boys only, there will still be the rejects. The only difference is that in Eastern Europe, we were very harsh. We were very honest. And if the reject was a reject, he would fail the class. How many people fail in Western schools? Even in Romania, failing now in middle school is considered, oh my goodness. But when you fail someone, you actually do them a service. You give them the opportunity to realize why they failed and try again, right? And so that's the main issue that the West has. It has completely abandoned failure for the proposal of the participation trophy. And you have people like Sargon that make it worse. And it's like, well, why are they failing? We need to change the system. No, you don't need to change the system. You need to brutalize the system. You need to make the system even more difficult. You need to make it so that if they don't learn, they never get past middle school. Until I fucking see adults in middle school, the system is not brutal enough.
The more that they find that difficult to do, and then you get an especially problematic student who feels that they were deeply mistreated by their second...
Good. They should feel that way. They should feel like the reject. And then they should question themselves, what can I do in order to stop being the reject? The problem is that in the West, when you have the reject, society encourages him to blame the system. Oh, it's the system that's at fault. Oh, it's everyone else. No, it's you. It's only you. If other people can pass, so can you. You're a human being. You can do it. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people say, but the IQ. Listen. I know a guy that had severe autism and finished med school. He didn't finish it in 6 years like I did. He finished it in 12, but he finished it nonetheless. It's about willpower. It's not about how smart you are. Dumb people learn, but they learn slower, but they still learn. And so when you have a person that's dumb, right, they will just need a little more time. Maybe they won't finish middle school in 5 years, in 4 years. Maybe they will finish it in 12, but they will finish it nonetheless with the condition that they understand it's their fault. If they think it's society, if they think it's the system, then they won't even try. Because, like, they view it that what's the point in trying? Because, like, the machine is against me. And so you end up with a reject managing to pass. That is bad for society. That is bad for the company that employs him. That is bad for his coworkers that have to work harder now because he is there. That is bad for everyone. It's not good for someone. It's not even good for the reject. Like, he's not going to feel validation. He's not going to feel good in life when he realizes he's a burden to others. You need harshness. This is what you need.
Grade teacher, Miss Gretel, but from the teacher's perspective, she didn't do anything wrong. But she did do something wrong. Right? But she was...
Yeah, she did do something wrong. She didn't have a paddle. I guarantee to you, like, this guy, if he grew up in the Soviet Union with a paddle, he wouldn't ride that shit. He wouldn't have the TNT. Like, even the concept of having TNT wouldn't exist into him. He wasn't sent to a gulag, Sargon. That's his problem. Anyway, right. I'm actually curious what people think about this, but it was a conversation that needs to be had. The problem is no one wants to have it, because, like, the moment you talk about it and you're saying, look, it worked for our parents' generation here in Eastern Europe, and now they're fucking the system, and you notice that it stops working, right? So, number one, the best choice would be to abolish the system. I do not believe that it's normal to educate someone from cradle to grave, right? Like, 20 years education is a little bit too much. It has to be made shorter. Like, children should be able to learn only the essentials. You don't need to learn, like, organic chemistry if you're going to become an IT expert, right? Secondly, if you do maintain the system, there have been ways, right? Like, Dead Poets Society is a film that I think it's depicted incorrectly, right? The only reason that the film is bad is because the guy gets the guy commits suicide. But the reality is that the old British schools didn't have, like, high suicide rates. No, it's exaggerated for dramatic purposes. But the movie does show exactly how Sargon's grandparents were being taught. And it worked. Like, it created a very productive and wealthy society. The problem is we changed those ways. And I think, like, it's time for an audit. And I'm not saying that things should be brought back to the way they were, but they shouldn't stay the way they are either. And it's not, like, you're not going to solve it if you just have, like, boys and girls separate. No. I mean, you can have a class full of boys and you'll still have, like, the ones that don't want to learn, and you'll still have, like, the ones that aren't interested. And it's like learning by doing. There are so many abstract things that, like, do what? Trigonometry, right? You do learn by doing it. Like, you sit in your bench and you do the trigonometry, but you have to stay still. There's no physical activity in it. There's nothing. Like, how do you want them to learn, advanced integrals? Like, there's so many abstract shit. You know, or for example, learn LGBTs by doing Sargon. Please, por favor. Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.